What do we do? I died on X-Dash. No, let's do a Mortatio no evolution run on Green Acres. I haven't done that in a while. Hello, Mortatio. You are my favorite. I like Demario, or whatever his name is. Demario. You know, that's gotta be intentional. Maybe. Maybe? Maybe not. I have no idea. Okay, so we want to go for a run with no evolutions. And ideally, only items that do not evolve. It's a really weird combo, and it actually works shockingly well. You just gotta work for it. Laurel, Ebony, with shit. Well, I guess I'm going Laurel. It's a me, Demario. I mean, sure. Yeah, Laurel is fine. I was hoping to get all weapons, and if this doesn't give it to me, then we'll just reboot. I'm not interested in half measures today. It's the intentional run or bust. Nothing else. Hopefully we'll get what I'm looking for. That does not apply to passives, though. Just the weapons. Because some of the passives are just too damn good for me to pass up on. It's supposed to be capitalized. District Attorney Mario. The Law and Order spinoff. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I would love it if Capcom farmed out their Phoenix Wright games a little bit to a couple of, like, big IPs. How absolutely ridiculous would a Mushroom Kingdom Phoenix Wright style game be? With, like, over-the-top cases and whatnot, but it's just, like, I don't know, Waluigi, attorney at law. And what, would Bowser be the judge or something? Like, you could go absolutely off the walls, and, like, they already have a pretty established cast, and it'd just be really funny. Wouldn't Phoenix be Luigi because of his luck? True. But I really want it to be Waluigi just because. But yeah, Luigi being the defense attorney, and, I mean, Mario could actually be one of the prosecutors, maybe not. Or Mario is the helper. That gets possessed every once in a while by, oh my god, by the Boo Queen from Paper Mario, the really busty one. And so you get just ultra busty Mario. No way that would ever happen. I still have weird nightmares about the case where Pearl gets possessed by what's-her-face. But yeah, can you imagine, like, having to defend, oh god, you could even have it as, do you guys remember the beginning of, Mario Sunshine when Mario straight up just gets arrested? Do I want Pentagram as part of this? I think I do. Oh yeah, it was possessed, Pearl got possessed by Mia. Let me think. What are the other weapons that don't evolve? Santa Water, Lightning Ring. Is that it? Is that the only two other ones that don't evolve at this point? I think so. I get it later. Yeah. I just kind of want to fill up my, my setup here. Hey, and thank you, Red Fox, for this sub as well. Thanks so much. Welcome in. I don't know, maybe I should have grabbed the pentagram just because it's a little rare and we want to complete the build, so it doesn't force me to get a evolving weapon. Oh, Clock Lancet, that's the other one. Clock Lancet would be 1,000 times better than the pentagram, to be honest. But yeah, so at the beginning of Super Mario Sunshine, Mario gets straight up framed by Bowser Jr., who's trying to kidnap Peach because he wants a mother figure, I believe it is. I actually have not played enough of Mario Sunshine. I rented it twice when I was a kid, back to back, never did any of the plot, just hundoed every single level because it was that good. I gotta go back to it, I do own the game. But yeah, thanks for the reminder on Clock Lancet. But yeah, it was like this absolutely terrible kangaroo court situation where it's just, you know, they just badly... It wasn't like... The Bowser Jr. just was shaped like Mario, and they still threw Mario in prison. And it's just, like, kind of tacky. But I would love that if, like, Luigi, like, he was stuck in prison. They had to call, you know, Luigi, attorney at law, who is like scared out of his mind by everything and like stammers nonstop and just like other stuff. I don't know. Duplicator. Yeah, there we go. Bowser Jr. thought Peach was his mother. Oh, I didn't realize he outright thought Peach was his mother. That is a weird can of worms. Part of the reason why I specifically am kind of like, man, this would actually be kind of like a fun game is because it would be... I want some backstory on how the whole Peach, Mario, Bowser thing works. Because I know recently Nintendo came out talking about how, like, Mario isn't even a plumber. He's, like, a local celebrity, and that's why he's on all of these sports games, and why he can still be friends with Bowser and so on and so forth, because, you know, they're not actually enemies, maybe-ish. And, like, I very much would love to see just Nintendo just... I don't want to say go mask off at some point, but just go absolutely silly with it and just be like, yeah, here's, like, deep lore Mario. Let's go. Still want to know what happened to the Koopalings. Oh, yeah. Okay. Do we keep going bone? Yeah, because I don't actually want the laurel for anything. Okay, so... all we need at this point is the Santa Water and maybe the Clock Land set if I want to go that direction. Bowser just has 7 or 8 kids and 7 of them just disappeared. Would amuse me to no end for them to actually, like, give an explanation for this. I want the Hyrule Historia, but it's the Mushroom Kingdom, you know, saga or something like that. And it just goes, just full hard explaining, start to finish, with every single game being canon, and like, tied together by the most absolutely insane framework of things. Like, even to the point where, I don't know, Mario, in the middle of Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, was also doing Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story or something like that. Just this, like, ridiculous, I want to say, like, conspiracy web style thing. And it just is off the walls. Oh, that would be satisfying. And nonsense, but it would be really funny. Because, like, the story is nonsense. Yeah, more Nintendo as a whole. I mean, that's also true. It's weird, because a lot of Nintendo games, like, don't actually stick in my memory as games that are, like, I really want to play more of. But every time I play them, I'm like, yeah, this is good. And I just kind of enjoy. What we need is a Mushroom Kingdom 4X game with legacy storyline like Total War. Dude, Total War Mushroom Kingdom would be something. I mean, Mario and the Raving Rabbids game was, like, actually really good. And I'm a little pissed off that it's, like, in the hands of Ubisoft, as opposed to just, like, Nintendo. Because I'm not exactly the most impressed with Ubisoft's latest, you know, pushing of non-fungible trash endlessly and saying that we just don't get it. No, I get it. I very much get it. But, you know, that game was incredibly solid. And, oh, what's another one? I mean, not exactly in the same vein, but like Sonic Mania and a couple others. Like, it always blows my mind how few, like, small budget or kind of really inventive games that we get out of Nintendo nowadays. I think maybe that was just driven mostly by Rare back in the day. And Nintendo's just too overly cautious with their IPs and never let them out. I'm thinking, like, I mean, they had Cadence of Hyrule. I'm so curious about how that got made. Because I feel like if you could have a Cadence of Hyrule, you really could hire some other indie studios to make some really interesting, like, proper I mean, not canon. Ooh. I guess I'm gonna grab Bracer. Because Bracer is actually a pretty hefty damage up on both the Rune Tracer and the Bone, now that I'm thinking about it. I usually don't pick up Bracer without the knife. But this is one of those days that's pretty good. Don't forget there was the Mario RPG. I never played the Mario RPG. I kind of wish I had. Let's see. So we probably want the Attract Orb, and the last thing I think we want is the Empty Tome. Wait for Total War Warhammer 3 in a couple weeks. Oh, is it coming out that soon? That is... I want to say Games Workshop absolutely lucked out with that one specifically. As hands-off as they are. And maybe they're kind of the best example of why Nintendo shouldn't farm out their games too much. Because there's a lot of shit with Games Workshop games. But there's a couple of really good ones. And I'd actually especially love to see Sega kind of loosen the strings a little bit and allow some other indie studios to kind of play around with their IPs. I mean, especially like a Sonic 3D game. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Sonic open world game is actually going to be really, really good. I think Nintendo got burned by some really early collabs and has been hesitant ever since. I mean, I think they just know that their brand is more valuable under-delivered than over-delivered. And will kind of act on that accordingly. And I can't really blame them. I mean, it's the smart idea. I also wonder if just like good management would kind of get around some of these things. Because you could almost take the like full hands-off approach. Just vet the studio. Run it through Kickstarter or something ridiculous. Okay, maybe not Kickstarter at this point. Maybe not. Because I feel like crowdfunding shouldn't be abused in that manner. If it's Nintendo, like, they can afford it. I can't believe I haven't seen the Santa Water or the Clock Land set go by. Or maybe I have and I just totally tuned out on it happening. Both are possible. Just farm whatever it is out to Hideo Kojima. It'll be weird and fantastic. I've been playing Death Stranding on my own recently, and that is a very accurate take. If that man can make being a delivery driver interesting, then whatever he makes is going to be amazing afterwards. He does need somebody to kind of sit there and tell him, like, okay, Hideo, that's a little creepy. Like, a little lot creepy? Norman Reedus with a funky fetus. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a fetus, it's more like a weird premature baby that is infected by otherworldly undead magic, interdimensional garbage. Look, I haven't gotten very far in the game, so it's really difficult to actually talk about the story. Spent too much time building roads in Death Stranding, too much time. It's a good game. I legitimately really enjoy it. There's something really satisfying about, like, trudging through a bunch of, you know, like a rainstorm and, you know, barely making it out alive, and then coming out the other side, the music kicks in, and you're, like, going down a hill as the sun's coming out and everything, and it's, like, that perfect emotional note, and it keeps happening, and it keeps being great. The bosses have been uninspiring, but whatever, I'm not here for them. Yeah, Wander plays games on his own, inconceivable. I have been, I've actually been pushing to play a lot more games on my own just for sanity's sake. So yeah, I've just been playing Death Stranding on my own and Final Fantasy XIV a lot on my own. I'm almost to Endwalker and I'm so excited. I am very glad that, hey, Santa Water, there we go. I'm very glad that things are kind of stabilized for me channel-wise, because that means, yeah, I can have the opportunity to play around a little bit. I gotta go back and play some Hollow Knight, too, because of the Unmissable Games Club, because I really want that to be a thing. I've played Hollow Knight twice now, so playing through it a third time is a little less, immediately inspiring. I'll pick up Pentagram or Clock Lancet at this point. Either or. Speaking of Death Stranding, it's 70% off, leaving it at $18. You've sold it to me. You will enjoy it. It's very much kind of an acquired taste game, and it might take a couple of tries to get into, but at the same time, like, it's, damn it. I'll just go knife. The knife ruined my no evolution run. Let's see. Trapdoor. Nah, let's just get the Rune Tracer at this point. You get back into Final Fantasy XIV if I ever have free time again. It's really slow, but it's really good. It's one of those where, like, frustratingly enough, the base game, like, just base Final Fantasy XIV is okay. It's very definitively, like, not great, not terrible. But it's a slog, and it's slow, and the story hasn't picked up, so it's not that interesting, and it just has, like, a lot of kind of foibles about it that makes it... Are we only 12 minutes into this run? It feels like we're 30 minutes in. Wow. Alright. But, so the base game is kind of slow, and, like, if you go at it wrong, you're just going to bounce off of it in the worst possible way, and it's just not going to be very enjoyable. And that kind of remains true for a while. And then once you hit Heaven's Sword, it gets a lot more interesting. You know, the things get a lot more ridiculous, and you get a lot of, like, cool lore bits that I haven't really seen in another game, at least in not in this manner. And then it gets boring again for a while, kind of. And then you get to Shadowbringers, and then it's, like, actually legitimately one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. Like, by far. I'll probably talk about that more. Because kind of on the idea of me playing games for myself is that Let's Plays are dead on YouTube. Not fully, like, they still kind of work, but they're substantially, like, less supported than they used to be, and I'm tired of fighting the algorithm just to do a series on a game. So I think I'm going to switch over to, like, a review format for anything that isn't a little bit more, like, immediately replayable, or, you know, something you can pick up and put down, like this game. Yeah, I could stop this tomorrow. I could stop whenever I want, and there would be no repercussions for it. I mean, apart from people wanting more of it, but, you know, it wouldn't be like, you didn't finish this game. It's like, no, I put a lot of time into Vampire Survivors. Hey, there we go. Empty Tome. Took long enough. Feels like no more time to sit down and watch long Let's Plays. Yeah. At the same time, I will gladly put hundreds of hours into Vampire Survivors and not even notice. Same thing with, like, Rogue Tower. So Vac manages somehow, but he's a mystical creature. He doesn't. I don't want to, like, get too far into analyzing another channel just because I feel like that's kind of weird. And possibly unwelcome. But specifically, at least on his main channel, unless he's changed his style dramatically over the last couple months, he specifically only does, like, first tastes and a couple of highly edited stuff that he puts on the main channel, and then otherwise it's more so a secondary channel where he puts the VODs with, like, the full Let's Play. And that's a little bit easier to work with, because then you can kind of have the main channel as this, like, feeder system, and it's like, hey, you want to watch more? Either watch the streams or watch the VODs on the secondary channel, and that does work, but the individualized, like, YouTube format doesn't really support it with views so much as it is a viable option, because his audience is immensely passionate and watches a lot of the live content too. He might still be here, and I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to it than, you know, just my basic armchair observations. You know, might reveal. Yeah, some series that stay on the main channel, RimWorld and such, but they're edited most of the first taste, and he seems to be trying to push the main channel to be first taste. And it makes sense too, because, like, that way, if somebody wants to watch the rest of the series, they just go over to the other channel, and he doesn't have to worry about you know, episode 30 competing with a first taste. Sounds like maybe you could interview a Vac for Wanderbot Prime. He already expressed interest in it. I just have to start doing interviews again. I stopped for a little bit because for whatever reason, like, once again, YouTube is really strange about content. You can put your heart and soul into something, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. One of the things I've noticed is that interviews are garbage on YouTube. Same thing with podcasts. You have to be someone super special to really have either of those mean something. And freaking sucks because, you know, to some degree, I find the interviews are almost some of the most interesting content. That you really do learn a lot from an interview in a way that you don't from almost anything else. And so, I should do more interviews, and I really would like to. But my other problem is moving across the country starting in, like, end of March. That's a little... I don't want to say it's, like, looming, because that's still 2 months away. But the big thing is, like, as a content creator, stepping away for that, you know, the process of moving across the country is a little tough, because I'm potentially going to be away for, like, 10 days. And, like, on Twitch, that's actually disastrous. Like, you really do not want to step away for that long. And then on YouTube, as long as you pre-record all of your content, no one will notice, except for the fact that you might not jump on a new trend. Which, like, in and of itself is a little because that actually, I remember back when everybody I knew was, like, just starting out. Like, I used to be buddies with Dragast and would hang out with him and a couple other people talking about stuff. And everybody went to PAX East 2015? I think it was 2015. And he didn't. He didn't feel like it for whatever reason. Or maybe he just wasn't feeling well. I forget. But effectively, every major content creator was at a convention for a weekend. You know, Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, and like a bunch of other kind of large channels at the time. Especially a lot of the Minecraft personalities. And then Stranded Deep came out. And he effectively had an entire weekend to himself to create content for it. And specifically, like, jettisoned him from, you know, what? Maybe a couple thousand subscribers, maybe 10,000 subscribers into the, like, easily near million territory or something like that. And so there's very much like that kind of feeling on YouTube, the gold rush. YouTube and Twitch and stuff. And that gold rush feel can be, like, really constraining as a person, where it's like, oh, but all I need to do is grind a little bit harder, or, oh, you know, I just need to be browsing, you know, upcoming games a little bit more. I need to be a little pushier with this developer, or something like that. Let's see. And so, so from my perspective, you know, stepping away for 10 days, like, that's a lot of time that anything can happen during that, you know. You know, some new deck builder roguelike comes out that changes the face of what I do for a living, and, you know, maybe I'll have a laptop that can kind of make do, or maybe I just won't be able to. I'll be spending a couple of days in transit, taking it easy, so I'm not, like, driving 10 hours a day every single day. But yeah, it's the age of the internet. Everything moves too fast. I mean, even Vampire Survivors is kind of one of those. Oh, holy shit, I have 500 people watching me. What? I just looked at that. Hi. That's unusual. And, I mean, that's kind of an easy thing to talk about a little bit, is that, like, for the last year, I felt actually quite stagnant on both platforms. In, like, kind of a really, really frustrating way. That, you know, my Twitch audience was honestly shrinking. You could even look at the graphs a little bit and be like, oh yeah, I effectively lost maybe not 20% of my viewership, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that I started taking days off, finally. But it was worth it, and super necessary, and I'm glad I did. And then with YouTube, you know, I lost a third of my viewership over there, too. And so there's kind of this, like, horrible feeling of just, like, is 2021 going to be not what seals my fate, because I could totally, like, coast for a long time with, like, negative growth and be totally fine. A lot of content creators actually do that they just keep coasting until they find their next big thing, for better or worse. The livelihood is okay though? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have safety nets on other things. Like, I don't want to say that I have a roadmap of how this works for other content creators. Hey, thank you, Ciro74. I was gonna say Ciaro. Maybe it's valid. But thank you, Ciro74, for the Prime sub. Thanks so much. What was I saying? Brain, words, things, safety nets, things, jobs. Okay, so it's not uncommon to see a lot of content creators kind of come and go. I mean, how many of you guys used to watch somebody a lot, and then they just, like, stopped doing YouTube one day? Or, you know, they went away for an extended break, and, you know, when they came back, they weren't the same, or something like that. But it's not uncommon to run into YouTube personalities that have been burned by the algorithm in some way and couldn't cope, or, you know, just the algorithm just decided to end them, and yeah, there's just nothing they could do about it. I know there's a couple of YouTubers that I follow that really just did fall off of suggested. And these are like video essays too, where it's a little bit more important. You know, for me, if I make a bum video, like whatever, like my Super Mario Galaxy video that I put out yesterday, I think did terribly. But I don't care because it's one video out of 4, during, honestly, a boom period. But one video out of 4, and then I can make another video the next day and not have to worry about it. For like a video essayist, it might take a week or 2 or a month to make like a full video essay. And wow, luck is holding today on triple chess here. But it can take a long time to make a video essay, and so if one of those bombs, like, that's a problem. Especially if maybe you don't have a strong Patreon or, you know, another side gig, you know, streaming or something like that. I still sub to a few expired YouTubers. Me too. Some of them were real good. Some of them were just kind of average, but just couldn't cut it. It's fine. Rip C-Nanners. Didn't C-Nanners come back, or did he disappear again? Because I remember watching him a little bit, but he was playing COD, and I'm not interested in COD. Because I used to watch him a lot during the Gary's Mod Day. I mean, honestly, C-Nanners and Gassy Mexican were, like, that specific duo was what inevitably convinced me to pick up, like, start doing YouTube. Because it just looked so fun. And I think I was watching, I think it was Hutch was interviewing, was it? Oh gosh. I don't know who he was interviewing, but I realized, like, one of the guys was straight up just, like, my age, and it just kind of started doing it for fun and, like, really hit it big pretty quickly, and I was just like, oh yeah, I should give this a shot. And I mean, the rest is kind of long history, but still. But so yeah, I was kind of sad when he fell off the map a little bit, but at the same time, like, content creation is not healthy. Like, I think even in his, like, he'd done a video talking about, like, coming back and stuff, and how much YouTubing was, like, bad for him mentally. And so when I say that I have this kind of roadmap of other people that I can rely on, and, like, look at for, you know, how to kind of avoid what happens to other people and how to cope, working around it, that as long as you've got your eyes open and you kind of know about a number of these expired YouTubers or streamers or content creators or something like that, you really can actually just figure out, like, where your trajectory is and either avert it or soften the blow in some way, shape, or form. And hopefully most content creators kind of do this, and the easiest way to do it is just by being, you know, financially sound, and, you know, not just blowing all of your money on dumb shit. Because I've definitely met a number of content creators that were way bigger than me, but spent their money on dumb things left and right, and then just, yeah, came out of their boom period with nothing, and suddenly we're like, oh shoot, help? And, you know, you can't always, you know, pull out of a dip like that. A dive? Let's go with dive. Dip is maybe a little bit too investory. So I know from, like, my perspective, I don't pay for shit. Food is the most expensive thing in my life. That and housing. You are not killing me today. Not if my knife storm has anything to say about it. There we go. Hey, and thank you, Blaze, 1990-2003, for the 29-month resub as well. Thank you, Red Fox 71, for the sub. I think I missed that, but thank you. Bap, 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 bap. There we go. I'd like to say, hopefully it's a compliment. Oh, gotta watch Skeletons Don't Kill Me. Haven't been watching you play this game the entire time I've been here. I've been listening to your thoughts, your opinions, your voice. You have a point of view and a moral center that makes it impossible not to be enthralled. Thank you. I try. I try not to, like, pulpit too much, but this game just brings it out. Just because, what do I talk about? There's nothing going on. It's such a great, just kind of mesmerizing game. But if you have to come up with interesting interesting stuff to talk about, it's honestly easier to just play this game as a podcast instead. And that's fine. But yeah, so throw everything out the window, look at what other content creators have kind of been through in the past, keep an open mind, and then hopefully find something kind of new to push. And so, you know, me talking about Let's Plays kind of being dead. They're not. You can still do them. I know Playframe. Playframe, is it Playframe Plus? He does a decent job of them. And seems to have, like, quite the following, and I think he can just kind of roll with it. But he also has kind of his own, the actual Playframe brand where he's talking about animation in games as kind of a secondary thing. Not to mention the fact that he had the pre-existing fan base from his days at Extra Credits. And so that kind of gives you this, like, easy way of doing Let's Play content without having to worry about the algorithm as much, because the audience is a little bit more immediately passionate. But not everybody can kind of do that. And so from my perspective, it was just the churn. I've said this, I've repeated this quote 3 times in the past couple days, but somebody had quoted, it's like, obligation or duty is the death of passion, or obligation is the death of passion, or something like that. And the thing that was getting to me is that I'd get through so many games and just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And knowing that, like, but if I quit, people are going to be upset at me. And that, like, you can only push through that so much before you lose it. Which is why Vampire Survivors has been such a godsend for me, because this is just kind of the perfect game to play. And then just kind of come back to maybe every couple of days. And like a lot of other games, roguelikes work really well with this kind of business. I worry about the people whose entire career is locked into one game. Looking at you, Don't Starve streamers. Oof. Yeah. I mean, that's a big one. And I'm sure, well, I don't know. I mean, it's been, what, 5 years since I had last played Scrap Mechanic, but I'm sure at least some of you guys know me from those days. Or at least, you know, maybe that's how you originally heard about me. But Scrap Mechanic was as popular as Vampire Survivors currently is for me, you know, 5-6 years ago. Same thing with, like, Slay the Spire and a couple other games. And, like, with Slay the Spire and Don't Starve and stuff, you very much can... Wow, this is getting really crowded. You very much can base your channel around that, but it's kind of a rough place to be all the same. Just in terms of like limited flexibility. You really are just kind of locked to that one thing, and it's almost impossible to escape that gravity. Because ultimately, you know, right now I have 537 people. Say if I were to switch to, oh, what's a good example? Well, I mean, Skyward Sword. You know, I was playing Skyward Sword for a little while, last couple weeks, and, you know, easily it would be one of those, like, big drops where it's, like, go from 500 people down to 150, maybe? I don't know. It'd probably be a little bit more than that. A lot of people just kind of leave me on as background noise, and I'm totally fine with that. But so with a lot of content creators, there's very much that trap of like, no, you have to do this. This is your life now. Pokemon. I think people would be interested in the novelty of me like running around and catching things for at least a couple of streams. Hades Early Access brought me here. Didn't see you play Scrap until you played with Vac. Yeah, that was fun. I want to at some point do more stuff with Vac, but I was hoping to be closer to him in time zones, though. He's honestly up later than I am, or earlier than I don't know. I was thinking of maybe trying to get a Vac and like Orbital to do Satisfactory with me or something like that, because I think that would be really fun. Especially if we did like oh gosh, a Wholesome vs. Space Race would be amazing. There we go. A Vac is a time zone. It's true. A Vac is time. This is actually a reasonably high level for this. We're definitely having some trouble here, owing to the fact that I have nothing to keep enemies off of me. I have to use the daggers to prevent getting clobbered from behind. And Grim Reaper shows up now. Oh, I've got the shield. And I'm dead. There we go. Wow. I was actually assuming Rune Tracer was king there, but no, it was very much the Santa Waters, and I mean obviously the Thousand Edge is primo. Though Thousand Edge was not active as much. So I think Rune Tracer actually was. Yeah, the Rune Tracer had the higher DPS than the Santa Water, because we had the Santa Water for 20 minutes and we had the Rune Tracer for a lot longer. The statistics are entirely misleading. I really wish there was an active DPS meter that was just running in the corner constantly. Because I think that would actually go, like, really far. I really wish this guy had random stats. Unfortunately, I think he's still busted. Wait, what if it's just the map? Let's see if he can actually do anything. No, he's still invincible and busted. Damn. Because random stats on this would be so fun. Alright. I'm going to do one more run. Wait, he's broken? What happened? So originally used to have random stats that made for some really interesting challenge runs. But currently, you don't get random stats. You're invincible. You do no damage. I don't know if they tweaked something or just broke him intentionally. But missing no is just a non-functional thing, which is a bit of a shame. Because I really, really wanted to give that a shot because I finally unlocked it today. It's still random for me tonight. Maybe it's because I'm on the public beta. 1 second. Because I've been playing on the public beta because it gets me access to all the patch content. Oh, nope. Oh, you know what? I've got like gobs of money. We should probably spend it on greed. And recovery. I guess what's the point of spending on greed if you've already bought everything? Oh well. Alright, let's see if I can do Inlaid Library. Let's see if I die. Nope. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out between. Maybe I broke something when I unlocked him. It's possible. But I think we're gonna just do one more run. Go to an older patch. I could. Played a run with him a couple hours ago. The update might have come out after. I don't know. Like I said, it could be anything.